Rabotai, first of all, it's Tu B'Shvat. Tu B'Shvat, we got to say one derush about Tu B'Shvat. First of all, I want to read you a Gemara no Shana. It says, the bottom over there, the bottom of the page, Daf Kav Gimel. It says over there, any tree that the Goyim took from Yerushalayim, Hashem Yitbarach will return it back in the future. Any tree that the Goyim took away, let's say a guy, he came and he took trees, they robbed the trees. It says, I'll read you the Gemara. The Gemara says, Amar Yohanan, Kol Shita V'Shita, every plant, Shenatlu Nochrim Yerushalayim, Atid HaKadosh Baruch Hu Lachaziran La. What's the pshat? Because you have to understand how holy Yerushalayim is. Yerushalayim is so kadosh and so holy. There's a Gemara, and this Gemara is in Bava Metziah, and this is the case. We have Leo here, maybe he's going to give us a pshat over here, but let's see. It's going to be a hard pshat, but he's the valedictorian, so Bezrat Hashem, he's going to think hard enough, and say, also we have a few Rabbanim over here, very chashuv. So Bezrat Hashem, let's hear. The case is like this. The case is, let's say take for example, you had an olive tree. You had an olive tree. And the olive tree, there was a big storm, and in the storm, the olive trees, they just like and it uprooted from 2-3 olive trees uprooted from your field and went into somebody else's field, and it ends up planting in that field. Sometimes you have it. You have a storm, you have a big storm, you had a mudslide, you have whatever you have, and the mudslide, it just literally took the ground with the tree, literally slipped into the neighbor's field. Or slipped into the two field. So the question is, what is the obligation that the new owner that's in is he obligated to give back the 3-4 olive trees or no? So the halakha says he is not obligated, he pays for it, but he's not obligated to give it back. The question is why? It's my olive trees. Very solid question. You hear the question? You hear the case? You hear the question? Steve, you hear it? Yes? Anybody want to try to answer? This is the Bet Yosef, Siman Kuf Samechet, but I'll tell you what the Gemara answers. The Gemara says the reason why he is Mishum Yishuv Haaretz, Yishuv Eretz, because of the land of Eretz, Yishuv Eretz. Now we have to explain what does that mean, because the settlement of Israel. That's the Gemara's answer. So what does that mean? I'll explain what the Bet Yosef says in Siman Kuf Samech Chet. This is what he writes. You ready? He says like this. We want Eretz, you have to understand, there's no place like Eretz. You have to understand that. When you go there, there's even a halakha that says, everybody knows about Maaser Sheni. Everybody knows about Maaser Ani, right? You give Maaser to the poor person. You give 10% to the poor person. But there's another Maaser called Maaser Sheni. What is Maaser Sheni? Maaser Sheni is you take 10% of what you made, and you're only allowed to eat it in Eretz. Now, that 10% that you take in Eretz, if let's say for a person made a million pounds of a certain fruits, right? Certain product, certain produce, you're not going to carry all that. That's wild. So it's called pidyon. You podeh it, you sell it, you take the money, and you still have to take the money and go buy food in Yerushalayim, and you got to go to Yerushalayim and eat it there. What's the pshat? The Chinuch explains, the mitzvah is, and everybody knows this, it's very famous, that what is the pshat? The pshat is because when you go to Eretz, you automatically get inspired. You can ask anybody who went to Eretz, they came back, they go to the Mekomot HaKadoshim, they go to the Kotel, they go to the Kivret Tzadikim, they go to the Ma'at HaMachpelah. It's big Kedusha that you're going. It's very big Kedusha. There's so many Rabbanim, how many times they went to Eretz. I know Rabbi, his name's Rav Rosenfeld. Rav Rosenfeld, I have his story with me. If you want, I could bring it up to you. This is his story. His story is that he wanted to go to Israel. We're talking about 40, 50 years ago when it was very hard to get to Israel. And even so, it says how he tried so hard. You have to have a zchut to go to Israel. You can't just go, oh, yeah, beautiful, let me book a ticket, let me go to Israel. You can't just do that. You need to have a zchut to go to Israel. Don't think it's like that. Many times you see people, they tried this, that. And by the way, I want to tell you another thing. Israel, the Gemara says, niknit bi yisurin. What does that mean, Nikni B'Yisurin? Look, it's Nikni B'Yisurin means to say, yeah, you're going to have some, not every time it's going to be so smooth sailing. How many times you go to Israel? You know how many times I used to go when I was Bachur, Yeshiva Bachur? Like, forget it, again and again and again. I always knew it's going to be a challenge to go to Israel. And it was. But whatever it is, at the end of the day, you have to have a zchut to go. And one of the reasons why they say you have to bring Ma'aser Sheni, which is 10% of the produce, on what? On the first, second, fourth, and 50th of the Shemitah cycle, is because when you go there, you get mushpa, you get influenced by your surroundings. You have to know that. And Eretz Yisrael has a very big hashpa'ah. You see the Rabbanim, Kaveh Tzadikim, the Kotel, you see all that, you come back a different human being, automatically. It's like I'll give you an example. You go to a perfume store, like a really heavy-duty perfume store that's selling the best perfume in the world. You walk in, you walk out, you smell a little different. What's the pshat? You smell different? Because you're getting mushpa, but it's sviva. Even if you don't do anything, you come back, you get inspired, by the way. And that's why it's also very important, I have to tell you this, it's very important to have good friends. Very important, especially when you're younger. Because when you're younger, your teenage years, your friends are going to shape you. There's a lot of stories that I personally know, how because he hung out with the wrong group, unfortunately, or vice versa. Because he hung out with the right group, fortunately. So you have to know that. And therefore, I will tell you back to the case. So again, you get mishpat from Yisrael. What is the answer? So we're saying, again, the case is that you had 3 olive trees. It uprooted from one field to the next field, and we're saying to your friend's field, you can't keep it. Why? You should sale. You could keep it. You don't have to give it back. Of course, you have to pay him for the olive trees, but the guy is not allowed, the original owner of the olive trees is not allowed to uproot it. Rather, whoever has it is allowed to pay for it and keep it by him. The question is, why can't he uproot it? And the Gemara answers, Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. And what does that mean? It means, the Bet Yosef explains, that means, think about it. We want Eretz Yisrael to flourish. So now, you have these 3 olive trees in your backyard. You're like, wow, look at that. I already have a small field of olive trees. What are you going to do? You're going to go ahead, and once you have 3, 4, you're going to start planting more. And guess what? Eretz Yisrael is going to have more olive trees. And therefore the halacha is, because we want Eretz Yisrael to flourish so much, he can't uproot it. Rather, he leaves it by his friend, because we're in the hopes that his friend will build more olive trees. So this is, Rabotai, an inyan of Tu Bishvat, how important the land of Eretz Yisrael is, how kadosh it is. There was one time Rabbi Cook where they gave him the shovel to plant a tree, and he got on his feet and knees and he dug. He says, "What we give you a shovel is not covered." He says, "This is the covered. This is the respect, because you're digging, you're holding in to the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael. Your fingers are going actually in to the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael, and therefore we know how important that is." Rabotai, that is the inyan of a little bit of Tu Bishvat Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. Okay. We're stopping here we're going to the parasha now. Yeah, the first one is Tu Bishvat.
So second part.
Yeah. The truth is, can I add one more thing or no? Or is that going to be too late?
Now we have to edit it.
All right, fine. So no, just end it.